What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another podcast in the car. I'll turn the fan down. Maybe it won't be as loud.
There we go.
We can reduce the rumble in post. So, from the track. Welcome back, everybody. My name is Josh.
And my name is Taylor. Katelynne.
And Tyler.
Look at that. We did introductions. And,
yes, I'm proud of us.
Katelynne and Tyler are here. So we just came off of Margaritaville at sea. This is a currently just a two-night cruise out of the port of Palm Beach in Florida. They will soon be doing, I think, like 3 and 4 nights out of Palm Beach, or maybe 2-3 nights out of Palm Beach. And then in Tampa, they're going to have a new ship, which is the Islander, which will be doing 4 nights, and it'll be doing Western Caribbean sailings, hitting Key West and I want to say Cozumel.
Progresso, Cozumel, Key West.
Oh, where?
Progresso. I saw that on the thing.
Oh, Progresso.
Yeah, I thought I saw it said 5 nights.
I thought you were saying like Progressive Insurance or something.
No. I was watching the video while we were in the terminal. I saw it like 20 times.
I don't know. But that I mean, 5 nights is even better. I think the staff will be a lot happier too. I'm sure some of the staff that's on the Paradise will go over to the Islander, and I'm sure they will probably appreciate that a lot, because from what we've heard from cruising so much is that a lot of crew members don't like short cruises because they tend to have a lot of party animals, right?
Yeah.
As we saw last week.
The shorter the cruise, the cheaper it is.
Yeah.
And, the pricing brings different crowds.
Right.
So.
And I think that they like to get to know some of their people, like their,
yes.
Their patrons, if you will,
Yep.
to get to know their preferences, and they're in the service industry, so, you don't really get to do that on a 2-night cruise.
You definitely don't have time to do that on a 2-night cruise. Unless you're hanging out at the same exact bar seat with the same bartenders.
Yep.
For the
Making
entire
friends.
duration.
Which certainly happens.
Yes.
So yeah, we're on our way back up to Orlando, and we thought we would kind of do a recap podcast here, similar to what we posted last. Well, not really similar. It's similar in the fact that we're in the truck and we're driving, because it's easier to do the podcast now than it is to try and fit this in later on.
We'll probably forget to do it later on if we don't do it now.
Also true. So Taylor and I have done this before. This is our second cruise. I mentioned this already, that we were invited to come back to Margaritaville at sea, probably because we aren't as harsh as everybody else, but
because we know how to set expectations.
Yeah, I mean, I still stand by everything that I said the first time. Even coming off of this second cruise, I still stand by all of those things. That
I don't remember what you said because
well,
I forgot to rewatch the video.
It's expectations, right? Like you can't pay such a low price.
Yeah.
And then expect to be on the Titanic. Not a very good analogy here, but
no, definitely not.
You can't like.
You can't expect to pay, starting at like $99 or $75 per person or whatever per room for an inside state room, and then expect to get a luxury experience.
Right. You can't walk into the Dollar Tree and expect there to be like Louis Vuitton. Like that just.
Yes, that's a good comparison.
And so I think when you go into it with that realization or that expectation, you're going to have a very fun time. And
yes, we did.
The crew members were super, super friendly.
Yes, they were. Every bartender, the servers, just the crew walking around the ship, everybody was friendly the whole entire time. The bartenders are very, very enthusiastic.
Yep, they're ready to serve you. That's for
sure are.
So I wanted to get also Katelynne and Tyler's like kind of unfiltered opinion here about it, because the other thing I thought was really great about this too was that when Tyler decided to invite themselves on, it gave us this, I think, cool comparison to show everybody that like our experiences were completely the same,
right.
except for one thing. There was one thing where our experience was not the same. Their experience was enhanced thanks to us. But it was only one time. But other than that, everything else on the ship, everything that we did was all the same. We were treated the same way, and nobody knew that. So, and just so everybody knows, like, that one experience is when we went to the show last night, and they had reserved seating for us, which we did not know. We were not aware of that, because the lady was like,
Anna Banana.
Anna Banana's like, we were looking for you yesterday and you never showed up.
We had no idea. We were just so tired. We didn't go to the show the first night.
We also went to JWB, so which
did.
conflicted with the first show.
It did, yeah.
So, but other than that, the experiences were like completely the same. So, take it away.
Well, you could, just to clarify, we could have had the same experience, but we had paid for it. We just didn't realize it either going down to the show because I didn't read the paper all the way.
Yes.
But yes, you can, get priority boarding onto the ship by paying for it. It's called License to Chill or Express Pass. They have a couple of different tiers for it. So you are paying an upcharge for it, but that gets you, onto the ship faster. It gets you priority seating at the shows. It gets you Wi-Fi is included in that. So just a couple things to consider. But we had taken our bracelets off because we thought we were done with being VIP for whatever reason. But anyway, yeah. We've cruised before, so I felt like exactly what Taylor was just talking about. Like, we knew what this was supposed to be compared to other cruise lines that we've cruised. We actually met a couple that had never cruised before, and this was their first cruise. So I think if you can set your expectations, like Taylor said, or you've never cruised before and you have no idea what to expect, this could be perfect for you. The ship is definitely older, but we knew that. So not really anything to do there, or say about there, but yeah, we had a really good time. Wouldn't you say, Tyler?
Yeah, we did have a really good time, and I think that's one thing we need to look at is how old that ship is. What do we say, 89?
I think it's 89 or 90 or something like that.
Yeah, I think it started officially sailing in like 91.
So if you're going on a ship that's 35 years old, that's going to be different than something less than 5 years old, which has been something we've been looking at more recently.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if it's ever had like an official like dry dock where it had a complete overhaul, like some of the other cruise line ships go in for a full dry dock every so many years and get like basically a makeover, if not to the whole entire ship, to most of the main areas of the ship. So yeah, we could tell. I will say one thing that I did notice, compared to last time we cruised, they did change some of the outlets in the rooms, and I think that was a good change. So we have a lot of like adapters for our chargers, but I noticed in the rooms they had USB and USB-C ports, which was really nice because then that gave us a little extra space for charging, because Josh has a lot of stuff that needs charged, with all of the camera gear, his laptop, the microphones, like batteries, everything. So I am only left with a small amount of space. But I still had plenty of room.
Yeah, I think the other thing too, I think Tyler made a really great comparison as well. It's like maybe the first day or whenever we got on the ship.
Yeah.
That
talking
I think
about just what could you do at home for the same price? And for $200, you can't go out to dinner for 2 nights and buy 2 dinners, get parking for cheaper than that. So we're comparing to how you want to spend your money. And if you look at this as a long weekend, we all had a great time. And yeah, we talked about the ship being a little dated, but there was nothing that felt unsafe or was that bad about it. So if you can get over that, and you can get down here was the other piece of that conversation, because you're probably going to end up paying more in flights than you actually pay for the cruise. So
that was actually a joke at the comedy show last night.
Right.
So,
It was.
They kept me out past my bedtime. But yeah, so what we did is we had some Delta miles from previous trips, so we used those to get down here. and then we did a night in Disney before just to make it worth it. And yeah, I think it was a good cruise overall. Getting on when we showed up, we had the license to chill thing that Katelynne was talking about earlier, where there was supposed to be someone there so you could skip right up and get on the ship at 11. We ended up not boarding until closer to 1. So it did feel like we lost a couple hours there. And I think that would have led to some of the lines not being so long. So when you get on the ship, you need to go up to deck 8 to make your dinner reservations if you have the JB Steakhouse, and you also pick up your drink package and souvenir cups up there as well on that same floor when you get up there.
Yeah, for anybody that like pre-purchased. If you didn't pre-purchase, you do end up paying a little bit more, I believe, but you can buy those right in the terminal before you actually get on the ship. So that line was not very long at all. Our line looked really long whenever we got up onto deck 8 to get our pre-purchased drink packages. However, they had that running pretty smoothly, and we got through in like 5 minutes, and there was a ton of people up there. So
I think that's one thing to note with the pre-purchasing extras. If you're booking the cruise, you want to do it at your initial booking. Otherwise, you have to call. There's no web portal you can go into and modify that.
Right.
So just have a good plan, figure out what excursion you want to do, what drink package you want, and also read those drink packages. We ran into a couple people who didn't realize that it was the entire length of the cruise for the drinks and not per day. So if you buy the 5 drink package, you get 5 drinks for the entire cruise, and a couple people thought it was for the whole duration.
Yeah, like 5 that day, 5 the next day, 5 the day after. So that, yeah, it is not that way.
yeah, we heard multiple people talking about that, but and I said this in our actual video that we made on the ship, that a lot of people, it sounded just from listening to people talking that they didn't really read whenever they were purchasing their beverage packages, because Tyler and Katelynne definitely read, because they got exactly what they thought they were getting because they read it.
Right.
They got the blender drink package, which is a different package. It's like kind of an upgrade, if you will. But they got the blender cups. They're like huge. How many ounces were those things?
22, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
so
okay.
they were pretty big.
Yeah. Plenty of drink in the drink.
But they got the blender drink package, and then they got the package that had the refills for the blender. There are different size beverages and different like price points for the beverages, so you have to read like thoroughly to make sure you're getting what you would want for the duration of your cruise.
And the other thing that I'll mention too is that it is, whether you think initially that it's worth it or not to get a drink package, it is in your best interest to purchase one. If you can do it before the cruise, definitely do it.
Yeah, it's cheaper in advance.
Because typically, for me, I would like only drink gin and tonics. And like on Royal Caribbean or even like Norwegian, if we were going to pay for those per drink, those drinks are still fairly cheap. Like I could still get a gin and tonic
maybe?
for like, yeah, $6 or $7, maybe $8. On Margaritaville, that's not the case. A gin and tonic was still $12 after
But
the gratuity.
they were giving you, at least when I ordered you one, they gave you Bombay. And I think in another one they gave you Hendrix. And that was all included in with your like beverage package.
Right. So last night when I ran out, I went and bought a gin and tonic. Just a basic gin and tonic. I didn't request anything specific. It was still $12. So keep that in mind. Like if you're just going to drink basic kind of drinks, I would consider gin and tonic a basic drink. It's still going to be more expensive than it is to pre-purchase, even if you just do what we had,
Which is the 5
which is the 5
per
drinks,
person we did.
because it comes out to like $10. So definitely going to save yourselves a few dollars if you plan to do that.
Really, any cruise that you do, no matter if it's a budget cruise or a luxury cruise or in between, anything you pre-purchase before the sailing, it's going to seem like a lot of money up front, but you're going to save money in the long run. This is girl math, okay?
Absolutely.
Pre-purchase your stuff because you're going to save money, and then you have that extra money if you want to buy something when you're on the ship, or if you just want to save that money for something else later.
I mean, it was a $10-ish difference between us pre-purchasing the steakhouse dinner and
Yes, it
them
was.
buying it
Yeah.
once we got on the ship.
Yeah, because I think you guys paid about $55 per person.
Yeah,
we paid
somewhere in
about
there.
$65 per person.
Yes.
And it's, you know, I think we definitely, Taylor and I, we definitely didn't close out dinner yesterday. And
What?
we didn't close out dinner, like we didn't
The
like
video.
wrap up
yeah,
dinner.
Oh yeah.
But I still think like Tyler purchased an additional upgrade with that dinner with JWB.
With-
He
yeah.
sat down to eat at JWB, which was the extra charge.
Yeah.
We did not, and I still felt like it was a pretty decent meal for the price that we were paying. Whether it was the $55 if you pre-purchase, or the $65 when you do it right there at the stand.
It felt like there was a significant difference between the main dining room fins and what we got for a meal at JW, just in quality and taste of the food.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. I think they want to try and push you into, again, those upcharges because it's such
Yes, it's such a budget and
right.
budget friendly, really,
Right.
cruise that there are going to be upcharges because that is how, like, they have to make money to be able to continue to operate, and to make that money, they have upcharges. They have the different categories of drink packages. They have the specialty dining restaurant. You can eat there both nights if you want to.
Yep.
And then they have the upcharges for like the better quality and better cuts of steak. You can even get like lobster tails. You know, there's little upcharges pretty much everywhere, and that's, you know, they just, when your cruise is so cheap, they kind of have to do that.
One thing for an upcharge from someone who primarily drinks whiskey drinks is there isn't a whiskey drink that the drink package covers, or the basic drink package. Because when I went to dinner, the drink,
Yes.
the old fashioned was $15, and your drink package is only good up to $12. So if you're going to be drinking old fashions or whiskey neat, just know every drink on top of the package is going to be an extra $3,
Yes.
Or whatever the difference is.
or whatever the difference is.
Yep. Yeah, and that's pretty much how their beverage packages work. And even on other cruise lines, they work like that too. They cover up to a certain price. So, you know, like we already said, read the description
Right.
so that you know what your beverage package is going to cover up into. And you can actually even ask them, if you have your little bracelet and you just point to it and say, I want a drink that's going to be covered under this package, they will tell you what is covered under your package. Because I didn't realize, my first drink, I ordered a watermelon margarita just because I saw it on the menu and I didn't really know what to order at first. And they were like, oh, that'll be an additional $3. And I was like, okay, that's fine, whatever. Like, I did not care. But somebody else might be like, oh my gosh, that's ridiculous. Like, I want what's included in my drink package. So if you just tell them like, hey, I have this band, can you, not this one that I'm currently wearing, the other one, there's like a little drink package band you wear. Just say, hey, this is the drink package I have. Can you give me a drink? Like, I want a margarita, but I want to make sure it's included in this package. They will do that for you.
I think the other thing to note is how Josh did his blender, where you buy the blender out
Yes,
first,
Josh.
and then you pay for the upcharge on each one.
Yeah, so that's another thing too. It's cheaper to buy it beforehand than it is to do it the way that we did it. But I just kind of wanted to, again, have something to have a little bit more comparison with. So Taylor did not get a drink blender. She just stuck with the regular drinks.
Taylor didn't need 22 ounces of alcohol every beverage.
But I did. I upgraded mine. So the way that it worked was that you paid, I think it was like $26 or something. It includes your first drink, and it gets you the
blender cup.
the blender cup. And then every drink after that, you're spending your ticket or your coupon, whatever, your drink voucher, and then you have to pay an additional like $8 or something.
Yes, because of the drink package that we had.
And I
So-
think we would do that if we were to do this cruise again versus buying the blenders up front. Because the blender package was one of the blenders and 6 refills. And over 3 days, well, really 2,
Yeah.
that's, the 6 blenders is a lot.
Yeah.
We had
It's a
one
lot to
band
drink.
that we didn't even finish them all on.
Yeah. Yeah, And obviously, like, that's a good way for them to make a lot of extra money, because if you don't end up drinking them all, you know, that's alcohol that they saved. There were certainly people on this cruise who I'm sure hit those marks.
Yes.
They probably bought extra drink package while they were on board.
And I think that that's also something that you have to consider here too, is that like this cruise, I don't know that it's necessarily always a rowdy gang of people.
I think it was like spring break, holiday.
Yeah, we hit this over spring break with a holiday, so people are probably going a little bit more overboard, having a little bit more, like, being a little more loose with themselves and what they're doing. So, you know, if you want to try to avoid that, I would suggest that you not do it over some type of holiday break or something like that.
I would actually even say don't do it over a weekend.
True.
Right.
Do it during the week.
Yeah.
It was also Easter weekend.
Right.
Yeah.
Holiday.
Yeah. Which we even saw they had an Easter bunny out going around.
Oh my
making
gosh, I
photos.
forgot about the Easter bunny.
And I did hear that they did an Easter egg hunt for the kids.
They did.
And I was surprised at how many kids were on this,
There were-
honestly.
Way
Yes,
more kids than
compared
first
to the
time we
last
were on.
time we went, there was a lot of kids on this cruise. And last night, like, I didn't really even know if the kids really used the kids clubs on boards. It looks like, from what we saw, just like walking around the ship, there's 3 different like levels of kids club based on age ranges. And upstairs, kind of by the buffet area, 2 like the teen clubs up near that area, and then one of the other kids clubs is up there, and they were full.
Yeah.
There was a bunch of kids in there. Like, the teen club had like all kinds of video games and stuff. I mean, those boys looked like they were having a good old time in there.
Yep.
And then there were little kids like doing like puzzles and coloring and stuff in the little kids club, because there's like little windows you could like kind of see them in through there, because their parents like come and like drop them off, pick them up, whatever. They have like special wristbands that they wear. So yeah, it was just very interesting. And then they did say last night at the show, a bunch of those kids were at the first show and said that they did the Easter egg hunt on the ship.
Yeah. So another thing too, talking about cruising in general, as being an all-inclusive experience, this certainly could have been an all-inclusive experience without needing to spend really anything extra once you pay for your base price plus diesel surcharges and taxes and port fees and whatever else gets wrapped up into there.
Well,
But
and you can still make it an all-inclusive. So if you're thinking about like an all-inclusive resort, you can go to an all-inclusive resort and just pay that price, and then you don't have to pay for anything else the whole entire time. With a cruise, you can sort of make it all-inclusive for yourself. I think Tyler and Katelynne did a better job of that than we did, really, because while we were invited on this and we didn't pay for the actual cruise ourselves, we added on stuff ourselves once we were on board that we did pay for. We had a little bit of onboard credit, but then we paid for some extra stuff. But Tyler and Katelynne booked and paid for everything in advance, so pretty much they got on the ship and they didn't really have any extra charges like we did. Right.
I feel like that's the way that we normally cruise, is we try and have everything prepaid, so once the boat leaves the dock, you don't have to worry about any upcharges like that.
Yep, and then you don't have a bill charged to your card on file at the end.
Exactly.
Or, you know, minimal charges at the end.
So going back to being an all-inclusive experience, though, this is still an all-inclusive experience without needing to do really anything else after you pay for it. So if you
definitely
want to just pay for your room and get on the ship, you don't have to pay for anything else. There is a buffet, and I will say that the buffet, in my mind, was much better than what it was the first time that we were on there. They have really changed the quality of the food options that were out there.
I liked the paninis. We had one last night and it was really good.
Yeah. But then also too, like, it's only a 2-night cruise. So we spent extra money by booking excursions for that second day in Freeport, because you might not know this, but Freeport is not Nassau. Like, the port, there's nowhere that you can just walk to a beach. It's an industrial port. Freeport itself, the island, is pretty industrial.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of just random hotel beaches, so you'll have to take a taxi to one of those if that's what you want to do. But with that being said, if you just want to relax on the ship, lay out in the sun, and enjoy the pool, it's certainly a good time to do that, because it seemed like there were a significant amount of people who got off the ship on the second day, whenever we were also off the ship when we went and did an excursion. So you might have the entire ship all to yourself. So you don't have to worry about paying that extra charge to go out and do something. If you just want to lay around and relax, enjoy the sun, soak up some vitamin D, especially if you're in the Northeast. It's been cold and you're doing this in the wintertime, you know, get some sun.
Yep. Yeah, and the excursion I thought was really fun. So we went to the one of the Wyndham resorts, the Viva. It was about a 25-minute bus ride. But even on the bus on the way there, we had a lot of fun because I like those types of things where there's someone narrating basically as you're going through and talking about the island. And he talked a little bit about, you know, the hurricanes that had come through and what had unfortunately been shut down after some of those hurricanes. But, you know, those folks that live down in the Bahamas, they rely on tourism. So he was definitely talking a lot about that and how appreciative that he was being able to drive us to this excursion, just to the resort, but still. But the excursion itself was, I thought, really relaxing. They had a huge pool, a really nice size hot tub, beach access.
They actually had 2 hot tubs. I don't know if you noticed that. There was one on the other side of the pool that we didn't walk by.
I see. Yeah. The beach is not a private beach, so just be aware. You know, just make sure you don't leave your belongings out, hanging out down at the beach. But poolside, there was security right there too, making sure that, you know, everything was good. People were staying orderly. You didn't bring food into the pool area. The buffet was included, and all you could drink and all you could eat basically was included in that. So people definitely on our tour got their drink on, that's for sure.
They got their money's worth of that excursion, that's for sure.
Yeah, but we had a good 5 or 6 hours probably there.
Yeah.
Before we had to get back on the bus and head back to the ship, but it was perfect. I really enjoyed it.
Yep. We got lots of sun, even with our reapplication of sunscreen.
That's right. Yes.
And there were, so if you've ever been to an all-inclusive resort, this was a pretty small all-inclusive, but you also have to think about the location that you're in. We were in Freeport, Bahama. This is actually a pretty small place. And we also looked up the pricing of this resort if you were to stay there per night. And the pricing of this resort was actually pretty cheap. But the food quality was pretty good. The drinks were flowing. The only thing I wish is that they would have had an actual coffee bar because I was dying for some coffee. They did have an espresso machine, but they didn't have like coffee flavoring. So they couldn't really make like lattes or flavored coffees. So I ended up just sticking with Bahama Mamas for the day.
Yep.
So I didn't have any caffeine yesterday. But it's also just kind of a thing, like it's the price you're paying for where you're going. And there was 2 buffet areas, there were 2 bar areas, and then like Katelynne said, the pool and stuff. But I mean, the chicken nuggets, they were really good.
Yeah, the food was good.
We basically just ate at the little outside buffet. We didn't go check out the inside one, and I guess we should have because I overheard people talking about all the different options they had at the indoor buffet.
Yeah. The Bahama Mama is the Bahamian drink, so we had to just go with that theme.
That is what we had. And if you are going to be going to some kind of all-inclusive or a cruise or whatever, you got to pick one beverage and stick with that type of liquor.
That's right.
If you don't want to get sick.
Take it from somebody with experience.
Rude.
But then we also had the water sports stuff that none of us really did.
Oh yeah, no, we didn't end up doing any of that.
Right.
Oh, Josh snorkeled for a bit.
Oh
I
yeah, you
snorkel
did.
for a little bit,
Yeah.
Yep. You could get snorkel gear. They had hobby cats. They had paddle boards. There was something else I saw out there too. I can't remember.
Yeah. As long as it was non-motorized, it was included. So that was good too. Yeah.
We did see some people leave on a jet ski tour.
Oh
for
yeah.
motorized, and they have one of those banana boats out there with people on it. I believe both of those were upcharges.
Yeah, they would have been.
Yeah, I think overall, again, Margaritaville at Sea just is. I think people just kind of get on there without the proper expectations, and not that is an excuse necessarily for like maybe things not being as clean as they possibly could be, or maybe as kept up tight as it could be. I mean, it's an older ship, so like rust is going to be something that like is going to be constant battle with them on that ship in some of those areas. Even just like, I think the decks, sometimes it looked like maybe some of them maybe needed like a fresh coat of whatever. I don't know. Tyler would know more about that kind of stuff than I would, because like wooden sailboats and things. But
AstroTurf was interesting on the top deck.
oh yeah, that was the first time when we got on it the first time. That was the first time I've seen turf like that up on a deck.
Yeah.
But we did see that again on
Celebrity
Celebrity
at the lawn.
at the lawn. Yes, that's what it was. Yeah, where they did something similar too, which I thought was an interesting choice, because I was just thinking to myself, like, if people get sick up here or other things, like how's this clean?
Well, I mean, it's turf. I guess you just hose her down.
I guess so.
Yeah. Bring out the hose.
What I will say is that if you don't have shoes on, it's much cooler to walk than a
Yes.
deck.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's certainly things where like you're going to walk around, you're going to be like, you know, that maybe like needs some maintenance to it and whatnot. You know, this is a budget cruise line.
This is also like, I was just thinking, in Pennsylvania, there's a local like little amusement park. It's a small little place, but it's also like comparing Walt Disney World to your local hometown amusement park. Much more budget friendly at your hometown amusement park compared to Walt Disney World.
Right.
So like things are just going to be a little bit different.
Right. You're not going to have all of those great bells and whistles that you would have on a cruise line, but that's just kind of the pay. Like that's the trade-off that you have.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it's just, that's the way to look at it. And I think too many people oftentimes go in with that wrong perception. I don't really recall hearing too many people complaining at all during the cruise, except for embarkation day itself, which was running behind. The sign when we left this morning did say that they were going to start check-in at 10:30, but boarding would not be till 1 o'clock.
Yes.
So in our point of contact, our social media point of contact did tell us that.
Yeah.
But I wanted to just get in there just to see for myself and get the lowdown, which we did. And so that is something to be aware of, that like if you're going to go, you might not start boarding until 1 o'clock. So if you want to get there early, you're just going to be hanging out in the terminal basically until they're ready. And if you're not part of License to Chill or an Express Pass or something, you're going to wait even longer, because those people will board the ship first.
And I believe those License to Chill and the Fast Pass ones still say 11 o'clock on the website when you book it.
Right.
It
I
does.
think
That's
that's
what
what
ours
yeah, and that's
said.
what I saw too, was on the website whenever I looked when she said that.
So it almost seemed like it was, they're supposed to board at 11, giving you those 2 hours that they tell you,
Maybe.
and then they bring everyone on at 1. But
Right, maybe.
Yeah. Like general boarding is at 1. But the people who, again, express or whatever you want to call it, because they were using a few different ways to talk about that. But it's like, you know, being able to get on the ship, you're paying that extra fee to get on a little bit ahead. But nonetheless, that really didn't bog us down too much.
We actually had a comment on our Instagram, so I posted like a quick little room tour reel the other day, and someone commented and said, I hope you're doing a YouTube video on this, because I really wanted to try this cruise, but I've heard horror stories. And I guarantee the horror stories are coming from people that had different expectations, or higher expectations, if you will. Maybe they have Josh and I have now been, this was our 21st cruise,
I was
believe.
lost count after that.
something like that. I try to keep track on my cruise app. But we've been on a bunch of different cruise lines now. But we have known how to change our expectations for that. So these horror stories probably came from somebody that either hadn't been on a cruise before, but watched a bunch of different videos from other cruise lines and then got on there expecting this extravagant type experience, or they had been on other cruise lines and were expecting that same type of experience. But it's all about the price. If you're paying such a low price per night, like, I mean, we keep bringing up the same thing, but like, you just have to change your expectations.
Right.
You're at a quick service restaurant, you're not getting the same thing at Victoria and Albert's. Like, It's just two different things.
And there was nothing on the ship
But
that I
my
would
quick service
classify.
food is always still good.
Right.
And there was nothing I would classify on the ship as being a horror story. The
No.
room was nice. The bed was comfortable.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah, and I still wouldn't change this. I would still stick with this too. That the only thing would just be the shower. And
Exactly.
That's literally the only thing. And I said this last time. I'll say it again. If you really need to take a shower or feel like you need to take a shower, take a dip in the pool and get some chlorine on you to clean you off if you don't want to use the shower. But it's, again, you're only on there for 2 nights. Now, when they start selling longer nights, that's, maybe they'll start trying to change some
A
things.
different story, but it's also a
Right.
different ship.
Right.
It's going to be sailing the longer sailings.
No, this ship will also be doing longer sailings as well.
Oh,
2
really?
and 3 nights. Yeah, I think it might even end up doing
okay.
4 nights.
I mean, the shower got warm. It was just weird because of the curtain, I think.
Right.
Yep.
You might have to, build a towel wall.
Yes. Or like the comedian said last night,
Yes.
soap yourself
La-
up and spin around.
Lather up the walls.
Lather up the walls and spin around.
That's
So,
right.
yes. So, I mean, obviously that is a known thing that the showers just aren't the best. Even, like we just said, the comedian brought it up in his show last night, and it was, the crowd was howling at
Yes.
that joke. So,
Yeah.
I think the other thing, too, is you have to, business-wise, for a cruise line that's only doing 2-night sailings, there are certain things they can't change the world with what they have coming in. So the operations of what they have and the money that they're making and the turnover, they have to focus on certain things and make sure that those things are working before they move on to something else.
Right.
The Wi-Fi, in my opinion, I think was better than it was last time.
oh my gosh, the Wi-Fi was really good this time.
There was also no restriction. I don't know if I should go this far. I don't know. There's not varying Wi-Fi packages. That's correct?
Correct.
Can't see- okay,
It's
so-
either you buy it or you don't.
Right. Okay. So,
Yep.
which is another difference between many other cruise lines. With this Wi-Fi package, I could stream video at night on my phone if I wanted to when I was going to bed.
Yeah, TikTok worked. It was crazy.
So you have that, but what I'm saying is they have to pick and choose their battles of the things that they're going to reinvest their money in to keep the business flowing, right? It might not make a lot of sense for them in the start to really reinvest a lot of money back into the bathrooms and specifically into the shower when you're only doing 2-night cruises and people are only there for a very, very, very short amount of time. It just probably doesn't make a lot of sense. Focus your money back into, maintenance and upkeep of the ship so that it is operating, so they don't have engines, going out like many other cruise lines do, which is kind of funny when you think about it. Margaritaville doesn't really seem to have that issue. And so now, when you think about it, they've done enough and they've been pretty successful that they've been able to buy another ship that'll sail out of the opposite side of Florida on longer sailings. And their current ship, Paradise, will be able to do some, not super long, but longer sailings. So they'll have more money coming in that they can then start maybe reinvesting back into the bathrooms on the ship,
And the bathrooms on the ship aren't just a Margaritaville problem. We, I think, had this exact same conversation when we got off the Epic.
Right.
That to redo the bathroom in every room is a huge undertaking and a
Right.
lot of time that the
Yeah,
ship's going to be in dry dock.
Right.
Right. But I will say that if you are a cruiser, I felt like this ship has everything like another cruise line would offer. Multiple lounges with plenty of seating, comfortable seating, good entertainment across the ship. They had dueling piano bars, they had karaoke, they had some dancing with some live music. The show last night was a comedian, magician. He did a family-friendly show at 7:30, and then at 9:30 it was an adults only, 18 plus. Both shows I thought were really entertaining. So they're making great effort, in my opinion, to bring on people who have, good talent to be entertaining you. They had a library, they had a card room, they had even a conference center. Didn't go in there, don't know how large it is, but they are offering a lot of these things that another larger cruise line has the exact same spaces for. So I felt like you could really get a lot of the same amenities and experiences even on a short sailing like this. So that was another draw for me. I agree with Josh. The only thing I changed is the bathroom if possible. The shower specifically.
One thing I would change would be the distribution of information. It seems like we were always trying to figure out when things would happen. Granted, they did have a QR code you could scan and pull up the ship's itinerary, but when am I going to get my excursion tickets was one of them, and it was after 9 o'clock or something like that. They dropped them off on the first night. And then the boarding process, not really having clear when do you show up. You kind of have to do all that research on your own and then know what you're getting into when you get on the ship.
I made not a very funny joke, but kind of like a little just jab when we got off the ship today, because when you go through customs coming back, you then also have to take your suitcase and run it through the scanner.
Right.
Like probably 99% of all other cruises, you don't do that because that's all taken care of for you. Typically, you know, when you're disembarking, like the cruise line takes care of that for you. So I just kind of made it a jab of like, you know, it's budget friendly, so there are a few things you have to figure out and do yourself.
Right.
But it's just, yeah, I think that's another thing too. We will probably see, I would hope, down here later on, once they have the new ship up and running, is that there'll probably be some type of application. I'm sure it's not cheap to build one out and then also keep the maintenance of that with updates for multiple different types of iOSs, but operating systems.
Well, even think about MSC with their app. Not all of their ships are capable to use the app.
Right.
We were on the MSC Musica we embarked in Israel, and the app was not compatible with the ship.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I had the app, but then I found out I didn't even need it because they don't use it for that ship. So that was interesting. But they had like a daily printed itinerary during that cruise. So I think a lot of cruise lines are trying to get away from the printed stuff so that they're not wasting a lot of paper.
Yeah. The room there was a QR code in the room too. If you didn't see it somewhere else out on the ship, where you could scan it, and it would take you to a web page that you would then click what the activities were for your sailing, and it would be listed specifically your date, and you click on that, and then it would pull up like a PDF on another page for you to look at. So, yeah, a little like if you're going to give me a QR code, it should be able to just pull that PDF up right away, not have to continue to another web page or something else like that. I think, but
yeah. But I thought overall, 2 fins up.
Whoa, I like what you did there.
Yep. What'd you think, Tyler, overall?
Overall, it was a good cruise. I mean, we knew what we were getting into, and we had those expectations set. And I would say from what I saw on other reviews, it beat what my expectations were at, just because I don't think some people were giving it a fair chance.
Yeah.
I think in the world of YouTube and social media, the problem is that everybody wants their video to get views, and it's really, really easy to point out all of like things that could be changed or fixed or whatever beforehand, and like make the video all about that. I think that's what a lot of other people have done in the past, rather than just like focusing on like having a good experience. Those little like tiny maintenance things, they don't affect the sailing of your cruise. Like the ship's not going to stop working all of a sudden.
Right.
You know, because there's chipped paint here on the freaking stairwell, or...
Well, and that's what I thought.
You know,
everything worked. You know, we had no issues with things functioning.
Very clean.
It was clean. The bed was comfortable. The toilets flushed. The sinks worked. Like, there was always soap. There was soap in... there was soap in the dispensers. There was hand sanitizer in the machines outside the restaurants and, like, in the bars and stuff. So, you know... Everything was in working order that I would want to be, you know, for my cruise.
Yeah. So, if they invited us to come back and do it again, I would absolutely come back and do it again. If some of our friends said, hey, we want to go and just have fun on Margaritaville, want to see if you guys want to come with us, I would absolutely pay to come back and do it again as well. Because it's just one of those cruises to just kind of relax and have a good time, and, you know, Not that we actually changed really any latitudes to change our attitudes, but you guys get the point that it was fun. We had a good time. Popo. Stay trooper. He's coming to get somebody.
I will say, just to add, just so people know the like options, if you are looking to book this, there are basically 2 ways to book. One is if they have any promotions, like any other cruise line. So be watching the website, because I did notice that they do offer BOGO quite a bit, being buy one, get one. So 2 people in a cabin, double occupancy. If one person goes, the other person doesn't pay. So that's the BOGO part there. But also they do offer the Heroes Sail for Free promotion. And that's actually how Tyler and I really started thinking about this back when Josh and Taylor did take the first cruise, was that promotion. So again, remember, this is like any other budget travel, anything, airline or whatever. So this is just your base rate, and then you add on these other things. But you can, if you are what they consider in the hero bucket, like healthcare professional, like a nurse or a doctor or anything like that, EMS, firefighting, police, military, those are like the core like groupings of what constitutes a hero. But you can do the BOGO promotion with them too. And there's a couple of extra things that come with that. So there's, I think 2 welcome drinks are included in that package. There may be something about Wi-Fi. Do not quote me on that, but double check that too. If you do qualify, that's another option. So if they're not running anything promotional, and you do qualify for something like that, maybe look at all your options is what I'm trying to say.
I think when I was looking on that, the options they had, there was also like an annual pass thing or something like that.
Oh, yes.
The new promo that they started, I think, this year.
Okay, so what's that, Taylor?
It was like, I can't remember if it was discounted sailings or free sailings, but you pay like one price and it gets you on the ship for the year. You have to book so many days in advance or something like that. But that might be worth looking into. I don't have too much info on it. I just remember seeing it.
Yeah, as an option. Yeah.
Shameless plug, because Katelynne is now a travel agent for Go Getaway. So
that's right.
And she did her training for Margaritaville at Sea. So
it's true.
If you're interested in booking a cruise on Margaritaville at Sea, you can reach out to Katelynne. It doesn't cost you anything extra, and she'll take care of that for you.
That's right.
But don't ask me, because I'm not going to do it. So I will forward that to Katelynne.
That's right. kprosser@goldgalgetaways.com.
Well done. Perfect.
You're going to have to come on an episode of the Gold Gal Getaways podcast soon.
That's right.
Josh and I were talking about figuring that out for sure. Yes.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of things that I think where you probably forgot to mention. Something else I just thought about too was like for initial cruisers, you're thinking about doing something you're afraid of, like just being out on the open ocean. What's great about something like this, going out to Freeport, it's very, very close to Florida. So the ship does not need to cruise real fast. It's pretty slow moving, and it's calm. You will feel a little motion of the ship. That's very typical, especially the first night that you're on there. But it's great for first-time cruisers to just get your feet wet. So, but yeah, if you think of something, or you're like, hey, you guys are forgetting to talk about this or forgetting to mention this, please let us know down in the comments below, or send us like a message or an email. But leaving it in the comments is better than all of those things, because we'll see it a little bit faster than everything else.
We'll see you in the next one.
Yeah.
Or if you're listening, you'll hear us in the next one.
There you go.
True.